Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. Coral Key boas are a great dwarf locality boa from a small island called Coral Key off of the coast of Belize. And today I just wanted to do a short video showing you some of my holdbacks that I kept from my 2020 litter. They're doing great. And just so I can show you how they're developing and say a little bit about why I like these Coral Key boas so much. So if you've been watching my channel, you know I'm a big proponent, a big fan of the dwarf locality boas because you get the full-bodied boa constrictor experience and a refreshing pint-sized package. Sounds like a beer commercial. Man, I wish I had a beer now, by the way. Anyway, this is actually one of the 3 animals that I held back from my 2020 litter. He's about 3.5 years old now. I'd say he's probably about 3.5 feet. You know, they grow quite slowly, but they only get to be about 4 to 5 feet as adults. So this guy is not that far from sexual maturity. And so what I like about these Coral Key boas, they have this beautiful light gray coloration, often with like purple highlights. And they have kind of a aberrant pattern, many of them. With, you know, some of them have striping or kind of jungly looking saddles. And so this guy, you can see he's got this striping on towards his tail. And then his saddles look somewhat irregular. And so this was my holdback male. I would say this guy probably won't be ready. Actually, since he's a male, he probably could be ready to breed in next year, 2024 to 2025. In fact, the father of this animal, who is now about 8 years old, is not much bigger than this. So, you know, they just don't get that big. And I should mention there's a related form called the Cocker Key boa that looks pretty similar. It's from another island off the coast of Belize, and they get to about the same size. They're also kind of grayish. The Cocker Keys in general are a little bit darker, a little bit more thickly bodied, and the saddle shape is a little more uniform. And I've done comparison videos of the Cocker versus Coral, so check those out if you're interested. But this guy's doing great, and he's eating now. I got him on up to medium rats. Of course, a medium rat isn't nearly as big as it used to be, but he's feeding on the medium rats and doing great. And got a couple others as well that I'll show you. But this guy's doing great and should be a great addition to my breeding program in the next year or two when he reaches maturity. Here's another holdback Coral Key boa from 2020. This is one of the females, and this girl is looking real nice. I don't know if you can see, but she's kind of got these pink scales, these pink highlights on her sides. And this one also has some striping towards her tail and kind of jungly looking saddles. But just what I like to see in a Coral Key boa. They also tend to have this nice white belly, if you can see that, with a few little black flecks. But this female is about the same size as the male, and she's doing quite well. People often ask me about the housing sizes they need for these animals. And yes, you don't need as large of an enclosure, obviously, since they're only going to get to be 4 to 5 feet. I would say typically you want a 4-foot cage for them as adults. You know, it's possible to keep them in a slightly smaller cage, like a 3-foot cage if you have a smaller one. But if you can have a 4-foot cage, that's definitely preferable. They also like to climb, so I would put a lot of branches and climbing structures if you can. They live on in a mangrove swamp along this island, so there's lots of things for them to climb onto. And they'll usually just kind of hang out in the mangrove, waiting for prey to come by. And you know, one of the reasons these guys are so small is they live on an island that has very limited resources. So in the wild, they might only eat a few times a year, so they obviously can't sustain a large body size. So they've evolved this smaller size. And you know, studies have been done that have shown that the majority of the food for these animals comes from the seasonal bird migrations, where birds are migrating through, and they eat a lot of the birds at that time. And then there might be months and months that go by where they don't have any food. So interesting evolutionary biology story there. And this female It's nearly ready. You know, I'd say she's probably about 2 years away from breeding size. The females can get a little bit bigger than the males, but not that much bigger. And in general, just a great pet for somebody that doesn't have the space for a larger boa. And I also like to handle them too, because they're not overly active. They kind of hold on, but they don't really try to escape. They just kind of explore inquisitively. The temperament is usually pretty calm. Sometimes when they're younger, they can be a little striky and hissy, but my adults are typically pretty calm. And then, you know, I don't really handle them that much. You know, so you can see this female doesn't appear to be scared or acting defensively or anything like that. And just a nice boa if you don't have a whole lot of space. This is my last boa, or my last of the 3 Qual Key holdbacks from 2020, another female. And this female, what I like is she's kind of got blocky saddles for her first 2/3 of her body, and then she's got the striping towards the tail. So just a really nice look. Nice light gray coloration with some pink and purple highlights, and nice white belly as well. And so these Qual Key boas, I actually had a litter this year that was a 2nd generation breeding. It's from one of my 2017 born females, had her first litter. I still have some baby Qual Keys available from 2023. They're doing great, and if you've been looking for a dwarf boa, they're the perfect choice. One thing I will say about the Qual Key, in general, quals and other island boas can be a little harder to get to feed on frozen thawed prey items. You know, they always want to start off on the live prey items, and then typically about 6 months to a year or so they'll switch. Some of them can be a little more picky. I believe this female, she didn't switch till she was about 2 years old. She just wanted the live prey items, and now she eats the frozen thawed mice and rats, but she just wanted the live ones for some reason. And actually the litter that I had this year, I've been trying to switch them over to frozen thawed. These animals are now about 4 or 5 months old, and about half of them have taken the frozen thawed with no problem. A few others are kind of picky, and they're still insisting on live. So bear that in mind. If you get one of these and it's a baby, there's a chance it might need to eat live prey items for a while. So be sure to ask your breeder if you have any doubt about using live prey items. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, shoot me any questions you might have. If you're interested in checking out the baby Qual Key boas I have for sale right now, there's a link under the video description. I've lowered the price for November, and shipping is free in November as well. So be sure to grab one if you've been always wanting to have one of these dwarf boas. Thanks for watching, and enjoy your boas.